Welcome to the mysterious moon of Mirren, a world of moss-slicked riverbanks, unfamiliar condensation dripping from alien trees, and hidden dangers lurking beneath deceptively placid waters. It's here we find our protagonists, Iella Vasori, a Talasi engineer, and Kian Dragan, her human survey partner, crossing a treacherous river on a routine scientific expedition. From our first glimpse of Iella, we understand that she is a being defined by precision and mathematical certainty. To her, balance isn't some poetic metaphor. It's a physical constant as reliable as gravity itself. The Talasi, her species, maintain their equilibrium with an engineer's certainty, moving through the universe like finely tuned machines. When Kian extends his hand to help her across the slippery rocks, she regards his gesture as an entirely superfluous and uncalibrated variable, unnecessary, to a being who places her booted feet with absolute confidence. Watching these two work together is like observing opposing forces of nature. Kian leans casually against trees, his posture relaxed, looking for all the world like a tourist. His voice carries a perpetual hint of cheer, and melodic humming fills the spaces between their conversations. Ella, by contrast, moves with mechanical precision, her fingers deftly securing connectors and sinking anchor spikes in a single fluid sequence. Work was the mission. Work was the purpose. A mantra of focus that leaves little room for Kian's easy camaraderie. Their contrasting approaches to the universe become even more apparent when they discover the carcass of a hexapodal grazer native to the moon. A thick violet discoloration mars its flank, centered on two tiny puncture marks. Glimmerfang, Kian identifies immediately, his easy smile vanishing. Nasty little buggers. Looked like a ribbon of emerald glass weaving in the water's current. He takes a cautious step back from the water's edge. Iella kneels without hesitation, pulling a scanner from her belt. Risk is minimal. The creature is deceased. Logic dictates action. As she examines the wound, something curious catches her analytical mind. The venom appears to have congealed in a viscous gel instead of causing systemic failure, an ineffective delivery method. This clinical observation, seemingly unimportant in the moment, will soon become the thread upon which both their lives hang. In these early scenes, we catch glimpses of something deeper forming beneath their professional relationship. Small moments where their worlds briefly collide. When Kian asks about rivers on her homeworld, Ella responds with technical jargon about sediment load and discharge rates. His subsequent silence feels oddly, illogically loud to her, as if she somehow misstepped. It's the first crack in her perfectly ordered world, a moment where she senses something beyond her calculations, but can't quite identify it. The jungle around them pulses with life, ambient hums and chirps, creating a tapestry of sound that seems to retreat when their conversations touch on something personal. The environment itself becomes a character. Watching these two disparate beings navigate not just its physical dangers, but the uncharted territory between their fundamentally different ways of experiencing the universe. The lush descriptions of this alien world, its murky waters, rich loamy soil, and canopy of unfamiliar trees, create a backdrop both beautiful and threatening, a perfect stage for the life-altering drama about to unfold. As they continue their survey, Iella places her foot with scientific confidence onto what appears to be stable ground. But the universe she has always believed operates on inviolable physical laws is about to teach her its most important lesson, that some variables can never be fully calculated, some dangers never fully anticipated, and some connections never fully quantified. The universe's betrayal comes with shocking speed. The thing beneath Illa's boot twists with muscular power, a flash of emerald green streaking through the water. Before she can react, twin superheated needles punch through her protective suit and sink deep into her calf, injecting venom that feels like a hostile rewiring of her body's internal code. a violation of her very cells. The pain tears a guttural cry from her throat, a sound she had never made before, utterly foreign to her own ears. Her leg collapses from sudden numbness that spreads like a pool of cryogenic fluid. She hits the ground hard, her meticulously maintained equilibrium shattered into a million useless pieces. The world tilts, the vibrant colors of the riverbank luring into a meaningless smear. As poison rapidly overtakes her system, Kian's reaction is immediate and decisive. He drags her away from the waters, edge with movements frantic but sure, tearing at his wrist panel to activate an emergency beacon that pulses through the humid air like a frantic heartbeat in the sudden hush of the jungle. "Captain." Mavik's voice crackles through the comms, and Kian reports with urgent clarity. "It's Ella. She's been bitten." Glimmer Fang, the ship's Talasi medical officer, Dr. Helen, joins the communication channel. Her voice, a calm, dispassionate monotone that promises logic but no comfort. When Kian applies the broad-spectrum stasis agent to the wound, it fails to form a field. The venom's biomagnetic properties are fooling the nanites, preventing the medical technology from isolating the toxin. Shuttle is coming, burning its engines hot with an ETA of 6 minutes. But Allah's biomonitor is shrieking a high-pitched, continuous alarm as her vitals plummet like a stone in a well. Dr. Helen delivers her clinical assessment. There is no synthesized antivenom for this species on board the breaker. "I am sorry." The word sorry strikes Ella as a pebble dropped into the vast silent ocean of her impending non-existence. Her vision begins to tunnel, edges fraying into black. She looks up at the high canopy of alien trees, a complex lacework of green against a pale, indifferent sky, what she notes with detached precision as a statistically acceptable final image. She closes her eyes, preparing for the logical, inevitable conclusion. But Kian Dragan refuses to accept this outcome. When Dr. Helen instructs him to make her comfortable, since there is nothing more the procedure can do for her now, a wave of cold fury washes over him. Procedure is a dying word, he thinks, as Allah's own clinical observation about the venom echoes in his mind. Ineffective because it didn't spread fast enough. It congealed. It stayed near the surface. In this moment of crisis, Kian makes a decision that defies all logic, protocol, and medical wisdom. He pulls his field knife, leans close to Ayala, and whispers her name like a prayer sent in the uncaring jungle. With steady hands, he makes a small incision connecting the fang marks. Then, in an act that sends a stunned, horrified silence across the bridge of the breaker, he seals his mouth over the wound. The sound of desperate suction echoes over the open comm channel as Dr. Helen reports in disbelief. "Negative, Dragan, cease." That is an unsanctioned procedure. He is attempting oral suction. Probability of pathogen cross-contamination is 93%. But Kian persists, his world narrowed to the coppery metallic taste of Allah's blood and the vile chemical bitterness of the venom. He sucks and spits repeatedly, pulling back to expel mouthfuls of dark violet blood and translucent quivering gel that sizzle when they touch the grass, melting green blades into black sludge. Even as the toxin begins to deaden his own tongue and lips, creating a chilling numbness that tries to creep down his throat, he continues this desperate race against time. When Allah's body suddenly twitches and a groan escapes her lips, it becomes the most beautiful sound Kian has ever heard. A junior officer on the bridge shouts that her vitals are stabilizing. Respiratory rate is climbing, just as the deafening roar of shuttle engines tears through the queue. As medical personnel rush from the shuttle's lowered ramp, the last of Kian's adrenaline deserts him. A wave of nausea rolls through his system, and he slumps to the ground beside Ella, his mouth and throat on fire, the world spinning around him. He has bought the precious minutes needed, He can only hope it was enough for both of them. This scene unfolds with visceral intensity, the taste of blood and venom, the desperate sounds of suction, the sizzling poison on green grass, creating a moment of primal intimacy between these two beings from different worlds. In reaching beyond established procedures, Keon transforms their professional relationship into something neither of them fully understands yet. A bond forged in crisis that will challenge everything Alela believes about balance, debt, and the nature of connection itself. Alla's first sensation upon waking in the medbay is not relief or gratitude. It's a profound full-body mortification that burned hotter than any fever. Across the room lies Kian Dragan, smiling at her with a tired, sheepish, utterly catastrophic smile that makes her want to close her eyes and instruct her consciousness to cease operations. Dr. Helen confirms what happened. Kian Dragan's intervention was the decisive factor in your survival. The venom molecules, large and viscous within their biomagnetic protein shells, had fooled the stasis nanites into identifying them as native biological material. Logically, it should have been fatal. But Kian's crude suction method physically removed the bulk of the congealed unabsorbed toxin, exactly as Aela had unknowingly predicted with her clinical observation about the venom's unusual properties. For Aela, the implications are devastating. Kian has performed an act of such primal, unhygienic intimacy that her Talasi mind struggles to categorize it. It had no file, no schematic. It was just a gaping hole in her understanding of the universe. The cultural gulf between them has never seemed wider. He has poisoned himself for her, crossed boundaries that her society would consider unthinkable, and created a debt that seems impossible to repay. With rigid formality, she declares, "Kian Dragan, I owe you a life debt." When he tries to dismiss this, she insists. That is unacceptable. A life was saved. A debt has been incurred. According to the tenets of my culture, it must be balanced. It is a fundamental principle of societal equilibrium. She offers him a sum of credits, equivalent to the projected lifetime earnings of a Talasi Class 3 geosystems engineer, a logical calculation of her worth. But Kian refuses. Payment with quiet conviction. We're a team. That's what teammates do for each other. You don't owe me anything. His rejection creates an existential crisis for Aela. Your refusal is incompatible with the established facts. A debt must be balanced. An unbalanced ledger creates a state of profound dissonance. It is an unresolved equation. The aftermath brings further complications. Captain Mavic simultaneously commends Kian for his bravery and reprimands him for breaking protocol. You got lucky, the venom was weird. You got lucky you didn't get a fatal dose. You got lucky you didn't introduce a dozen types of tan-mouth bacteria into an open wound and kill her with a secondary infection. The captain's final warning hangs between them. Don't you ever make me choose between my crew and my rule book like that again. As life aboard the ship resumes, the incident becomes the subject of both admiration and gossip. Allah overhears a junior botanist whisper to her friend, "Poor Aela, can you imagine? So undignified. I think I'd rather just die." The casual pity in the woman's voice strikes at the Talasi ideal of stoic self-sufficiency, turning her survival into sordid gossip that makes her stomach clench with shame. Increasingly obsessed with resolving this imbalance, Ella begins observing Kian in a new way. She watches him in the rec room, patiently explaining the rules of poker to a homesick junior crewman. She sees him pausing in corridors to help carry heavy equipment. She notices the small, lingering effects of the venom, the way he subtly rubs his jaw or touches his throat, physical reminders of the price he had paid, the price he had refused to let her repay. A formal debriefing with Dr. Helen only deepens her crisis. Helen's clinical questions probe the psychological aspects of their experience, noting that Alla's biomonitors registered a secondary neurological event upon physical contact, specifically a significant spike in oxytocin and vasopressin, hormones associated with social bonding that are undocumented in Talassi outside of procreative or familial contexts. After Kian leaves, Helen warns Ella privately, this imbalance with the human, an unpaid life debt, it is a source of great psychological dissonance for our people, an equation with no solution. It can lead to a degradation of logic. For a Talassi, this is the ultimate horror. A degradation of logic threatens the very foundation of their identity. Helen's prescription is clear. For the integrity of your mind, you must find a way to balance the ledger. Find a custom of his people, a method he will accept. Driven by this warning, Allah retreats to her quarters to approach this as an engineering problem. After discarding inappropriate solutions, Terran customs from fiction, poetry like Shakespeare's, "Shall I compare thee to a summer's day?" she discovers anthropological texts about human intimacy. There she finds information about the kiss, a symbolic gesture with clear physical parameters that could be observed, replicated, and executed as a non-material way to acknowledge his actions and balance the ledger. She finds Kian in the observatory, watching the stars and humming a space shanty about a lone prospector lost out in the belt, whose emergency beacon is answered by a stranger who guides him home. The parallel to their own situation hangs between them, creating a moment of rare comfort as they stand together in silence beneath the stars. Later, in the hydroponics bay, Aela finally implements her solution. With formal precision, she announces, "My research into an appropriate human custom to reciprocate a service of your magnitude has concluded. A material repayment would be illogical. It would not match the non-material nature of the event. The anthropological data suggests the correct response is a non-procreative, symbolic gesture of gratitude and acknowledged intimacy." Before Kian can process this declaration, she steps forward, places her hands formally on his shoulders, tilts her head to the 30 angle from the schematic, and presses her lips to his in a kiss that is brief, firm, and technically perfect. Kian stands frozen, watering can in hand as a slow blush creeps up his neck. When Ella asks if her execution of the custom was flawed, his shocked expression melts into a slow, brilliant, breathtaking smile that transformed his entire face. He sets down the watering can and explains gently, "It was perfect, but I think that's only half of it. The other person, they're supposed to participate. It's a team effort." He steps forward, closing the formal gap between them, and takes her face in his hands, his palms warm and slightly calloused, sending a jolt of pure, unanalyzable data through her nervous system. His whispered words search her eyes for understanding before he returns her kiss, not with technical precision, but with genuine feeling. His kiss is slow and soft, and tastes faintly of the sweet air in the bay. A kiss that is a conversation without words, a story told in a single lingering touch that spoke of gratitude and relief, and a deep, aching tenderness. In this moment of connection, something fundamental shifts in Ella's understanding of the universe. Her meticulously ordered mind becomes a whirlwind of new, wonderful, completely chaotic data. Beneath her racing thoughts, she feels a simple, quiet warmth spreading from her chest outward as she discovers an equation that didn't need solving, only feeling. The narrative closes on this transformative realization that some connections transcend calculation, that some gifts can never be repaid in kind, that the most profound truths in the universe cannot be measured or balanced, but only experienced. Through crisis and courage, logic and emotion, these two beings from different worlds have discovered something neither could have anticipated, a bond that redefines both their understanding of balance and debt, creating a new harmony that embraces both the precision of Talassi thought and the messy, beautiful intimacy of human connection. And so we leave our unlikely pair, the logical alien and the compassionate human, standing amid growing plants in a ship far from home, having discovered that sometimes the universe's most perfect equations are written not in numbers, but in the silent language of touch, trust, and tenderness that bridges the vast distances between different ways of being.